So before we get into it, let me just give you a recap of the previous chapter since I wasn't able to make a video about it. So after it was revealed that Elect had made the wish to make Gas the strongest in the universe, him and Granola went on to have their fight, and it was continued in this chapter. And Gas, of course, was getting the upper hand on him at first, but then Granola started to gain momentum, and Oil explained it by saying Gas might be stronger, but he's losing in the skills department. And I guess this was justified by Granola being the strongest in the universe longer than Gas. So I guess he was able to acclimate to all of these new skills and abilities longer than Gas has. And the big turning point in the fight was Granola making these clones and having like this one big gambit play on Gas, which resulted in him like getting a clean shot on him. And after this, Elect started to give motivation to Gas to essentially prevail in this fight, but also in this sequence it's revealed that Gas is Elect's younger brother, and that also their race has like the ability to transform, like similar to the Saiyans, except they become like a Broly-esque version of themselves where they get massive and essentially just lose control, but also grow like temple tusks. And this was also explaining how Gas lost to Bardock 40 years ago. Like he lost control of himself, went into this Broly mode, and then I guess we're still not privy to that information yet because Minato says that he was knocked out during that sequence. So I guess later on it's going to be revealed how he did that, and I'm sure that's going to play part into how Goku eventually overcomes him. Although maybe it doesn't, I wouldn't really hold my breath on that. But now that Gas is truly the strongest in the universe, as Elect says, he should be able to have control over his new Berserk Broly form, and he does. He regains his emotions, calms himself, and returns to his less, roided out mode, but still retains the temple tusks. And that brings us to chapter 81, where we are now. So now that Gas is ostensibly at his full power while also being the strongest in the universe, he does some kind of like eye spell to Goku and Vegeta here, but it's described as being hit with some sort of spell and their body feels heavy. But while this is happening, Granola actually does something really intelligent for once and just straight up tries to attack Elect. But Gas then reveals that he can not only instantaneous movement himself, but he can now instantaneous movement others, and he uses it to move Elect away from Granola's strike. And then Granola and Elect have some more back and forth where it's like, hey, you killed my mom, and he's like, well, but I didn't kill you. And while Granola's like distracted trying to fire at Elect, Gas straight up comes with a kick and breaks his forearms, then shoots him in the eyes. This is a particularly brutal sequence for Dragon Ball Super, and while Granola is all, shot in the eyes and his arms are broken, Elect comes from behind him and shoots him with some kind of space gun, and it blows out his abdomen, and we're led to believe that Granola is dead at this point, but of course, he's not. And then once all hope is lost, the typical Dragon Ball thing happens where whoever is there with Goku gives him the last of their power. So, he can find some way to Deus Ex and save the day. So now we're finally coming to the Goku versus Gas fight, which we all knew was going to come to this. And Goku's able to go into blue at this point, but he's like maintaining his emotions because it conflicts with his ability, Ultra Instinct, of course. And this also allows him to break out of Gas's spell. And Goku tries to go into Talk No Jutsu mode, and he's like, I've got no reason to fight you, so could you just leave this planet already? And Gas is like, calm and collected, are we? No rage over the death of your friend? And that made me think like, why is Granola Goku's friend? I mean, I get it within the writing of Dragon Ball, but also it's like, why? And then Goku goes on to explain what I just did previously with like, oh, I'm mad, but anger is an emotion that messes with my special move. And then Gas says, I don't understand. And this is for sure playing into how this fight is eventually going to play out, because later on, as we see, Goku kind of like exposes these pay-to-win kids, which is what this whole Cerulean Dragon Ball Broken system was in the first place. Like, becoming the strongest in the universe means you are on the surface the strongest, but that's all essentially you're getting. You don't get like the skill and the nuance that comes with all of the training and the hours put in to develop these abilities and master them. Like a kid in a video game, like they buy all of the best gear and all of the best abilities and everything, and on the surface they are the strongest players on the map, but they're not the best players. Then Gas starts summoning like these adventure movie trap ceiling and trap wall things and tries to attack Goku with them, but it's not necessarily working out. Then he straight up does a Doctor Strange from No Way Home at him by throwing like trains at him. And Gas, rightfully explains that like, thank you for humoring me with my toys and tools. I wanted to test out my power. I wasn't expecting this to kill you. Which I'm glad they at least put this out there, because Gas should be able to just completely dominate him at this point, right? But the other reasoning to this is, essentially the same reasoning that we get from a lot of these characters as to why they just don't straight up kill the heroes, or also vice versa. He's trying to draw out the strength of Goku, but also on top of that, he's trying to get redemption for the L that he took against Bardock 4 years ago. And now that he knows that Goku's the son of Bardock, this is the best chance that he's gonna get. And speaking of that, he says, I have not seen a hint of fire in your eyes. Why? When it came to combat, your father's fierce resolve was like no other. I do not sense that from you. Are you truly his son? And then Goku says, which he hasn't talked about in a very long time, it's like, I hit my head when I was a little kid and I lost all my memories up to that point. So I don't remember a thing about my dad or the other Saiyans. And also, at the beginning of the Broly movie, we do see Goku kind of like interacting with his parents before he's shipped off from Krypton. And Gas says that explains it. You can't comprehend who you really are then. I could never fall to one such as you. So I'm hoping that this means that Goku will unlock his old memories, and then I don't know how that's gonna like make him stronger, but through manga logic I guess it will, and maybe give some more depth to his personality possibly, and maybe doing that gives him more control over his emotions, and as a direct result more control over Ultra Instinct. Then we go into this sequence where Gas like tries to drown Goku, but then that's not good enough, and there's like this big energy deflection thing, and it leads to Gas realizing that Manito has been healing them this whole time, because we see Manito like healing Granola, and Gas, instead of just finishing Goku off, goes directly after Manito, tries to take him out, but Goku's able to intercept him at the last second, and then instantaneous movements him and Gas to like another nearby planet where Jocko is. And we have seen Goku do this before, most famously with Cell at the end of that arc. When he takes Gas to this nearby planet, he asks him, where are we? He's like, heck if I know. Well, what I can say is that you'd never be able to make it here with that version of instant teleportation. And then Gas is like, you still believe a technique of yours is superior to my own? And Goku's like, sure do. I've been using that move for years and years, and it's not a simple one to master. This is going back to what I was saying about, the pay-to-win kids versus the actually skilled players. And I've also been saying this throughout my reviews of this arc, that it's probably never going to be fully explained, but it seems like the Cerulean Dragon scanned the universe for who the strongest was. And I guess Beerus and Whis just don't go into that equation for some reason, so he was just looking at all of the mortals. And I guess that means that Goku truly was the strongest in the universe, and it was kind of like, okay, so what makes him the strongest in the universe aside from just having a super high power level? Oh, all of these abilities and all of the stuff that he's mastered. So let me just take all of these, awesome defining abilities that he has, along with a super high power level, and then just give it to this guy who's requesting to be the strongest. So that's where we get like the pay to win stuff, and why we see all like these pseudo versions of instantaneous movement and Hakai and Ultra Instinct. Then they start to have another scuffle, and Goku's like, can you really follow me wherever I go? And this is clearly Goku goading Gas into what I'm assuming is going to be his ultimate demise here, exposing him as the pay to win kid that he is. So then we see Goku like teleport away, and then Gas is like, don't underestimate my power. And then he seemingly follows Goku. And yeah, we don't know where he's going, of course, because that's where the chapter ends, but he might be taking him someplace pretty interesting. And I don't want to hype myself up or hype you guys up as well, because, whenever we get our expectations up with Dragon Ball Super, sometimes we are let down. But he could be taking him to other familiar faces, since, he targeted Jocko originally. This might be he could be taking him to Frieza. That's how he finally enters this arc, if he ever will. More fantastical expectations could be Broly, because I guess, within the manga's canon, he would know him because, that was established. Or, Jiren, possibly. But, like I said, I don't want to get your hopes up, but, it is a small possibility, I suppose. But let me know what you think is going to happen in the next chapter. And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.